Hey guys, my name's Will, and welcome to the channel where me, a beginner, is going to be learning how to get better at chess. For any of you who might be a little bit better than me or way better than me, please, I'm here to improve. Let me know what I might be missing. And if you're at the same level as me, or maybe you're even more of a beginner than me, hopefully that as we progress, this will help you improve as well. So I'm going to try and post a video a day here, 5 games. It's not going to be every game I play, but I figure I'll try and post just some highlight games and also maybe some games where I learned a few things. So right now I've been dropped in. I did a whole bunch of extra games and I'm about around a 500 elo in Blitz. So it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's a good starting point. At least we're not starting down at 100. So I'm going to show you 5 games today, 4 of which I actually managed to win in a row. And then I got cocky and I absolutely fumbled in my 5th game and got exposed. So without further ado, let's jump into game 1. So in game 1, I'm playing Robert here. All right. So he played pawn d4. I matched pawn d5. I think this is a pretty typical opening. So he immediately attacks my knight. And so I obviously am going to defend that. We don't want to start losing pawns that early. Brings the other one out, defend his pawn. And so I brought this pawn to fortify this one so I can potentially engage this, maybe get a trade, and most of all just double down on this guy. And so he played bishop, which unfortunately was pinning my knight to my queen. Can't move the knight if my queen's in danger, so obviously, given that I can still attack with a pawn, I continued my attack here. The idea being if he takes here, I can take with my bishop, and I get development, and he has no pawn to take up that file. He responds by taking, which I then respond with my pawn and take. Now, normally I don't like to get these big open files, but given that I'm thinking of castling this way, and I might be able to bring this and just make this awkward from the cross through. I was okay to take with the pawn there. So he keeps developing, just kind of building that pawn structure. And so, like I mentioned, I moved my rook to fill that file and at least keep eyes there. So he has to have something else to think about. And so he pushes his bishop here, which doesn't really gain him a whole lot. He could, a better move, probably he would have wanted to go here, which would have put me in check. Obviously, I could have responded with that or that, but that move doesn't make much sense beyond maybe wanting to castle. And so I just keep pushing my pawns. Now I got this weird pawn structure, and seeing to it that I've got his dark squared bishop, I figured moving that, I'm taking up a ton of white squares, which is rendering his bishop quite useless at this point in time. The only real threat he has is that, and I've got quite a few answers for that, so I'm not too worried yet. And so he castles, and this is where the 500 elo me came out in full strength. See, I'll go back. See, I'm looking at that with my rook. My thought was to bring my queen there with a threat of mate without actually realizing that that square is being watched by that horse. And so I blundered my queen flat out, but he didn't see it. And so I just backed off, which in hindsight wasn't the best move because after he moved his pawn there.
Oh, good. Did he just have to get that laparoscopy thing? Well, see you in a bit.
See, that's a bit of a miss because I've just killed my queen's development. I can go there, there. That doesn't make much sense. My attack there is gone. But anyways, queen's out of danger. That's what counts at this point. And so he pushes his pawn forward, attacking my pawns, hoping to maybe start trading some stuff off, in which I took. Now, the reason I did this pawn instead of this pawn is because the attack on my king is all coming from this side. So I figured it'd be worth moving my pawns that way and keeping this structure whole, if that makes sense. And this also forks his knight and his bishop with a pawn. So he takes, and then obviously I take. I didn't take with my queen. That guy's looking, queen's watching. He's not going to do that because that'll just give me a free knight. So he attacks my queen. I move just a little bit closer. I don't really want to go hide in a corner. When the knights get in around my king, I get a little scared about leaving a valuable piece like that because they're in a tight position like this. They're so prone to catching you off guard, getting a fork. So I figured at the time that that was just a good move. I guess the computer thought it was a good move too. So he pushes his queen one square, which was threatening this. Oh shit. This check, but again, I can still block that. Even if he takes, then I take. So really, there's not a whole lot of threat, even if he checks me. And there's nowhere past that point he can go where I won't just kill his queen. So not a great spot, but we'll see how this goes. So at that point, just to really seal the whole I don't want you here, I figured push that. Now he can't go there. He can land here, but the check is gone unless he wants to trade his queen for a pawn. And so he takes that pawn. Good move. At that point, it's a free pawn because his queen is staring right through there. I'm not going to give my queen away for that. So what I wanted to do by doing that, you take that pawn away, which takes the protection of this knight off, right? In hopes that maybe I can just bump over and take that. And so he went for the check. And normally that would be a no shit moment because now he's got a fork on my queen, but he didn't realize my bishop is staring right at it. So I took it. Sweet. Thanks for the free knight. So I don't know what this accomplishes. You get that, but you're not really freaking me out too much. And so I took his knight because he's not going to kill that with his queen just for me to get that. Not a good trade. And he resigned. So it was a good game. It was a little bit sloppy, but I do believe at that point I was definitely gaining the upper edge. I was up 9 points of material and I had control of the center. All of his pieces were kind of stuck in crappy positions. So I like to think that that was just a well played game. If I had just slowed down with my queen initially, I probably could have positioned it better from the start. We're lucky he missed that free queen with his knight earlier. But at this level, you're going to miss those. I just can't believe he missed it. So now let's. Okay. Okay. So this is game number 2 against Jopper here. I'm white. I opened with King's Pawn. It worked for us last time, and I feel quite comfortable with this opening. He matches, push the horse, attack his pawn. He defends his pawn with the horse. And so what I'm trying to do there is either he's going to develop something else, and then I can take, and my horse is at least defended. So if he takes with that, I trade a horse off for a pawn and a horse. Or he takes, I take, same thing. Either way, I come out with a pawn and a horse. He just comes out with the horse. So he defends his pawn with his bishop. And so I decided to decline this and attack his horse with my pawn. He kicks his horse down here. Good thing he's got a little chain of defense here. He attacks that. No real other threats. The only threat he has is that, and that is countered like that, or I can do that, which would end up forking his horse and his knight. So, not a great move. So, I kick this guy out, double the pressure on that. He takes that, and I take with the queen. Because right now, and just my personal opinion is I like to usually castle behind where my main setup is. See, if I go over here, I feel like it's super exposed. Whereas if I go here, it's a little bit safer. So right now I'm just kind of trying to open it up, keep this pawn structure intact. So that's why I took with the queen instead of opening with the pawn there. So he kicks that down, attack that, not really worried about it. So I just kick the other horse out, kind of doubling my defense there. Not angry about it. And then he castles, and I kick my queen over. And the reason I wanted to do that was simply to put pressure here in hopes that he might push a pawn to kill that. And with the idea that if he leaves that and keeps developing elsewhere, that I can bring my bishop here, and now he can't move that pawn because my queen is staring at his king. And at that point, he could bring that forward, which would be the smartest move because it would block that. But in the weird chance that he leaves it, I would just go boom. He makes some move, boom, really easy mate. He moves that. He doesn't really see what I'm thinking. And so I throw my bishop there. He can't do anything. And so he defends that. That's also a good move. It also opens his queen up to get engaged. So I just kicked my queen forward. Just one, threatening to take it in the hopes that he'll move it there, just anywhere, right? I want to open this pawn up. I don't want his horse there. And so he still doesn't see what I'm trying to do. So he attacks my horse, thinking, okay, I'll take your horse, you take my horse. But that doesn't really work. So I take his horse, and he does the dumbest move. He opens a file straight to his king to get away. He won't go here because then if I go here, that's check. He has to back up. He's gonna just get stuck. And so I take that pawn, sealing the king in. So now to get away, he really can't. He has to chase my queen away somehow. He could go there, but at some point, I might get a bishop involved or whatever. So he keeps developing his pawns. I bring mine out, my bishop out, with the hopes of. I'm trying to remember. I believe I wanted to go here, something. Just start picking away this position a little bit. So he takes the horse finally. I take back, allowing me to open this guy up. He takes the center pawn. Now he's kind of got a better control of the center, but right now he has his entire back line is just completely inactive. His rook is a move away from being able to actually engage. His queen, she can't go here because she just gives it away to my queen for free. And the only place she can really go is here, which is going to block her rook here, which doesn't accomplish a lot besides opening this up. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. So I castled because I figured, well, now that I've committed this pawn out, this is going to be where I'm going to start bringing stuff out. So we're going to just keep this nice and cozy. So she takes the last of my pawns in the center. I'm okay. And so I just start bringing this forward, kind of wanting to break this all up. Could take there. She doesn't really matter. So she does take. And at that point, I could have taken, but I then realized that if I go here, my bishop will be watching this, and that's mate. And there's no way to block it at all unless you can get your bishop down here. And in that case, I'm going to kill it anyways. So I bring it in. And at that point, the computer, there's mate in 4, right? So if I go here, check, can't go there. The king's going to have to go there. And at this point, I'll be honest, I didn't really know what exactly my plan was. So instead of taking like that and letting him escape, I figured I'll take this, and then this square is not safe, and this square, the only place he can go is right there on h8. And so that's what I did. And I think that's a decent move. So the king moves, and now I'm trying to look for ways, because I'm going to get a discover check here. Can I get one of his pieces for free with the bishop? No. The only thing, and I missed this in hindsight, I could have went here, check, and got that for free. But I didn't see that. So I pulled this back, just get it out of the way, in hopes that, well, the only place it can go is there. Boom. And then that kind of is the same dilemma as earlier. So he moves over. And so just because I was not really sure what I wanted to do, deal with this guy, right? Don't really need to give this pawn up. And I don't really want to risk him promoting for some weird reason. So do that, tax that, hoping that maybe I'll do this and he can get it with his rook. And so I did that, which is mate. Now it's not mate in 1. He did resign. See, when I move there, that's take, boom. All he could have done is that. And then I just take with my rook, and that's mate anyways. So that was game 2. I was quite happy with how that went. was thinking just flowing. So I was happy with that one. So as far as learning opportunities there, in hindsight, I probably should have just. I don't think bringing the rook was necessary. Now it was going to lead to a mate, but I think I probably could have found one with just the queen and the bishop. So, anyways, on to the next one. Yes, I know. I'm poor. I can't afford premium right now. So, anyways, we're feeling pretty good at that point. Got white again. King's pawn. We're just gonna go through the motions. So basically, we're threatening this. I decide not to take, double down, defend that guy. And at this point, I don't really know what that accomplishes. I still don't. You attack that. That's about it. That's all you're attacking. Now you're developing your bishop, so fair enough, but I don't get it. This is still hanging. This is defended after. And so I'm just going to push this, right? Try and build some pawn structure. He takes. I'll take again with my queen. Or I can just do the easy move. Do that. Go there. And then even if he tries to do this, take the pawn, fork that, I can still get that, and I have a really solid center. So he decides to push that. Now, at that point, I didn't really want to set him up to bring his queen down and take. So what I figured I would do is if I do that, it attacks that. And if he decides to just do the same, just trade queens, it's reasonable. The game's a lot simpler without the queen. And if he doesn't, then he's got to move this guy. This guy is still here. And I can just do that. And then I got a super solid center. But I didn't do that. I don't really know what the idea was there. So he pushed that. So I just kick that up there. I take. He takes. I just double down here, right? This is just a nuisance. Now his queen can't move this way. She can go here, but it's really not that safe. And so he castles. I continue the pawn structure here in hindsight. And the underlying idea for this move was that if he takes with his pawn, I get his queen. And if he doesn't take, then I can just take there. And if he takes there, I take there. Kind of nice. Still defended all by the queen. So he pushes attacking the horse. So naturally, I did that part of the plan because that threat's gone. And there's no way he's trading his knight or his queen for my knight. So his next move, attack that. Right? I'm thinking he's going to go here. But again, it doesn't make sense because even if he takes with his horse and I take with my pawn, it's just a trade and you're letting me develop this nasty triangle here where this is defended still. So really, you're not getting anywhere. So I doubled my defense there. He protects his knight. Now in hindsight, if it was me, I might have brought it here. And then if I take, then maybe he can trade his queen and now my center's all broken up. So I push that. It's defended. This is defended. Now he has to move his queen. So he moves over one. And I keep pushing, right? Let's squeeze the life, right? The only place his horse can go is in there. He can't advance his horse. I missed that. So my main idea there was let's see how greedy he is. Because he's the first thing I would think he would think is, ooh, free candy, right? Most likely take with pawn, not watching that's that. It's simple, but it will get players at this level. He can't bail out of it with a check because my horse will just come back and kill his queen. And, well, his next move, ladies and gentlemen, this is why when you're playing at low level, try stuff like that. Try it, right? The reason that works on most low level players, and I'm not saying I'm not without guilt, I fall for this stupid crap sometimes, is because we had a little bit of a tempo. It's boom. Now he's looking here. He's not really looking at what happened. Most low level players, they look in these little zones and they get really excited about the little small thing and the little fight they got going and they forget about the whole battle, right?
So by doing that, first thing on his mind is, shoot, he took my horse with his horse, but I can take his horse, not realizing the discovered attack on his queen. So little fatty bastard took, and I took his queen. 3 resignations in a row. Can't really complain about that. And I will dare say that I think that's probably one of the best games I've played since I've really gotten going on here. I know none of that was overly impressive, but I'm quite happy with it. Because if that game had kept going at this point, right, he's just screwed. I'm looking there, right? That's free. Could do that, right? Bring this in, get up in there and try and trade rooks and get this involved. I still had my castle left. He was cooked. If he hadn't resigned and we had played that and I lost, we probably wouldn't be making this video. So let's get on to good old game number 4. Oh my goodness. Once we get going here, I'll probably get premium and then I can actually see what the computer figures my moves are worth, right? If they're brilliant or whatever. I don't think there was any brilliance in that anyways. Big Chitigity. I'm not gonna lie, the second I saw that name, I thought of Quagmire from Family Guy. So anyways, yep. He started King's Pawn. I matched. At this point, I've won 3 of these games now playing this, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, especially if they're playing into it. He kicks his horse. I kick my horse, offer him the free pawn for each of us. He doesn't take it. He's got his eyes. This is the same as last game when I was white, right? You just whip your bishop out and attack something, right? I'm not scared of that at all, and yet you did it. Anyways, maybe I'm not seeing something. So, obviously, kick the pawn up, right? If he takes, I can take. If he takes, I take. And if he doesn't, then well, I'll take that or that. Really, it's a good position. So I take, and then he takes my pawn, right? So at this point, I'm down a pawn, and he does have slightly better positioning, just given that he's got more active stuff, right? That's defended, right? This is sitting out here free. So my next move, right? Defend this guy so that I can break my queen out somewhere, right? Just get her active, right? I don't want to lose that knight for free, but I need something to be watching it. So he castles. I kick my horse out in the hopes that get that. Or maybe he wants to trade. He didn't want to trade. Hop this out, right? Start to pinch this diagonal a little bit, right? Now that his king is set in this corner, right? That's going to be a weak spot or a spot to exploit. Checks me. And then, right, bring the bishop back. No rook is worth a bishop, in my opinion, right? It's a lot easier to deliver a mate with a rook. So brings his bishop back. And at this point, I was looking at the eval bar. I'm always curious about this because at this point, I didn't feel like I was losing this, but the computer definitely thought I was. And it might have just been because at this point, he has a pin on my king. But, anyways, still learning. So I just start to develop my knight again, right? Attack the bishop. And he kicks this down here, which isn't a terrible move, right? The computer hates it because at this point, I can't do this because he's still staring at me. So I take his bishop, right? Just start cleaning it up. Now he's opened this up. I castle, right? Because I want to deflect this. I don't want him getting in here and getting a fork on there. So Buddy forgets. Somehow Buddy forgot. He had me pinned earlier. And that's why his horse hadn't died. So I guess at some point he got lulled to sleep and believed that he couldn't be killed there. So, second I saw him move the pawn, I was like, sweet, free horse. Now we're up 2. We got a bishop and his horse. And so his next move, pawn d3. I don't know if he thinks that pawns just need to be beside each other to protect each other, but now in hindsight, right, looking at it, he just wanted to open this up, either to scare me away. This is terrible right here. Those will both be free if we get to endgame, right? They're stuck on each other. And so I traded them off, right? Now the guy's got no bishops. I got 1 bishop and I'm up. So he takes and I push my queen forward. And the only reason I went there was honestly, I couldn't tell you why I went there, right? I could have went here and started threatening that, right? Can't really do anything in this file, but there were other places to go. But I went here, right? Anchor it with the bishop. So he starts attacking my horse, which again is still defended from early game, right? Remember that when I wanted to get the queen moved. That's why we did it. So I hopped the horse out, right? Freaking him out here, threatening that, right? See, that's why you don't want to stack them like that because you can't really defend them again. He brings his queen out, defend his horse, right? I don't have anything looking there yet. So I start to bring this out, right? Just starting to try and choke him out in here, right? Because now this is looked at this. There's not a lot of great moves for him. So he finally takes the horse. I take it back. And here, what did I do? This is where he brings his queen down. Now this was a terrible move. See right here, you at least were defending your rook and that pawn, right? Now I can't do that. Realistically, I'm not gonna come anywhere in here. But by doing that, you've now left that. And I know you're not gonna take your queen here because you're just gonna get crushed, even if you try and get a fork or bring your rook into it. It's just not gonna happen. So I take that pawn. He takes that, right? Still, don't really know why he's there. Because at that point, all he's doing is that, right? Nothing's stacked. You can't go here because nothing's watching your queen. You can't do that because, again, these rooks have just got this whole file locked down. You don't have any bishops, so you can't attack. The only move you really have is that. Then you attack that. All I have to do is that. Kick you out. Or just come over here. Boom, we trade. Boom. Pretty standard. So at that point, I did exactly that, right? Now that queen is worthless, right? Everything it's looking at is protecting. Now, what I will give her, she's keeping that safe, right? I can't get my queen in there. So keeps going. And at that point, I was like, let's start trading stuff. Didn't want to do that. I was, all right, I see your trade, right? Take that. I'm just better, right? I'm up bishop and two rooks and even pawns, but I got much better positioning. He doesn't want to trade his queen. Kick over, right? Reset the position a little bit. See what he's going to do. Because he really, like, he can't do that. He really doesn't have anything, right? See, and you know what, to be fair, neither do I, right? I have this coming up, and I'm a lot closer to his king, but anyways. So he tries to, right, get a skewer, right? I move my bishop, you take my rook. So I was just like, okay, you can have my bishop if I can have your queen. Again, he doesn't know what he's going to do without it. Keep pushing, right? Just suffocate him. Push his rook back. Now, at that point, right? Attack my queen, right? I'm not willing to trade it, so kick it up there, right? That's mate. He can't get out of it, right? It's not mate, actually, now that I look at it, but take that. He blocks with that. Maybe I trade. Maybe I come down here and back off. But either way, I'm getting a rook out of it. So he kicks his rook over. Fair enough. But he left his rook sitting there. And so take that and he resigns, right? Even if the game had kept going, right? I'm protecting that pawn. So maybe he would have done that and lost his queen. I don't know. But at that point, that rook is stuck there. It can't go here. There's no point in going over here, right? There's only one spot for that guy to go. Stay where it is or go all the way. So at some point, right, I probably would have done that, right? And then maybe he would have moved his king, or either way, he would have had to lose his rook. So he probably would have traded check, right? That would have been just straight up mate block. And then even if I had sacked my queen, I got the tools to keep going. So another good game, right? It's just about slowly, move by move, just try and, right? It's like when you're playing against the computer. The computer is really good at this. It just suffocates you slowly. It takes away all your options piece by piece by piece, and it just keeps pushing and pushing. And that's something I'm trying to learn how to do because it sucks. It's so easy to make mistake when you can't breathe. So far, so good. But now it can't be all rainbows. But what I will say, it was pretty cool getting that many resignations in a row. But this is the game I was talking about in the intro, where I said, after 4 wins in a row, four, I haven't won that many in a row before. I was feeling good about myself. A number one chess player put me in my place. So he's white, king's pawn. Keep right. Every game we've played this, and I'm going to try and learn some more openings, but right now this works well for me just because it's simple. Attack, right? I'm going to defend this time. He defends his, right? I push mine. If he takes, honestly, that's the thing about white here. If he takes, I'm not going to do that because realistically he has a better advantage. So it would be in my benefit to just do that. But he takes, so now I got to move him. I like that spot because it invites him to do this, trade it off, and his position's slightly better after. But, anyways, and then he does that shit. He gets out of it, takes a free pawn. So I pin his knight to his king, right? Now he can't move the knight. Nothing's defending the knight. So I'm not sure what that was supposed to do besides opening that up. So I take it, check. He throws his bishop in front. Now I'm pinning his other knight to his king. And that bishop is also pinned to his king with my. So right now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm on a roll. Look, I'm already choking this guy out, and we're 7 moves in. And so he breaks the pin on the king. I bring my knight forward, hoping to get some more action. He castles. I've got no pins left right now, and I've got a really sloppy position, right? And then I did that, not realizing that he takes. So he comes out ahead, a full knight. Boom. Not ideal at all. So at this point, I'm like, oh, not good. We're losing for the first time in a few games. So I just kicked my pawns forward with thoughts that I'll castle here. Then I got some little escape routes. He can't take that, right? And it's going to be hard for him to pickpocket. You see that? Not realizing. Boop. Bam. Skewer or X-ray. I don't know what it's called. All I know is it sucks because now he's going to get my queen regardless of what happens, right? So I had a thought, all right, what if I do that, block it? Well, he has so many eyes on that. So he's going to get it. Realistically, if I do that, he's going to just take it. My only option is to take that. And then he comes back with his queen. Or, anyways, he's got a superior position. So I thought to myself, let me take your queen, right? I'm thinking in my mind, queen trade, right? Not realizing that when he takes this, he's got eyes on my king still. And so he does. And now that's not doing anything out of, right? Move my king, get that. And so I tried to bring that, right? Get it out of danger. Maybe, oh, that's not a horse. Kick that away. Check. Take his rook. You know why that's a good move? Boom. Rook trade. And now his queen has gotten through my little pawn brigade. So I move out of the way. Check. This is not good, right? I'm trying to keep my king on my rook so that I don't lose it. And that's what he's going to try to not do, is to let me do that. So at this point, I can't go here to defend it. I can't go here. This is the last spot. So I went there, right? He still can't take my knight without losing his queen. Brings his queen back up. Bishop, right? Sweet. Maybe I can get some of his stuff off, right? Let's just keep going, right? Just trying to defend both pieces, not realizing that he can go bang. And then I either, right, that's check. And then I either move my king away and he gets, it's over at this point. I'm 18 points down. Take, boom. Now, you're right. We're just gonna, at that point, I was just trying anything. Don't get cocky, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get cocky, right? There's always a player that's doing slightly better than you, and we're human. We're gonna make a mistake at some point. Like you saw, I handed that one away with a couple pretty bad blunders and misses. See, that was my 5 little highlight games for the day. And if you like this series, right, if you're a beginner player, or even you're a veteran player, and you just, right, Gotham chess is making you feel bad by, right, playing like a master, and you want to feel good watching Timmy here playing like a scrub and thinking that his little discovered attack is badass, you might be in the right place. And maybe a year down the line, 2, 3, maybe we won't be in the same place. But you got to start somewhere. And right now, we're at 500 ELO. Let's keep working on it. I'll see you next time. Bye.